that were never built for them, unintentionally modeled. That is the most polite way anyone has ever said you got played. I am such a Regina George. Oh, I'm literally Fleabag. I'm so Rory Gilmore coded, but make it unhinged. I mean, duh. And everyone around you would have nodded, because specifically, even they were doing the same thing the same way. And the point to be noted is that none of you found that alarming. What I actually feel is identity formation is somewhat hard. It's supposed to be uncomfortable and maybe costly in some ways. There is a whole term on what many people are being patients of. And there's a guy named Eric Erickson who literally coined this, basically invented the concept of you not knowing who you are. The term is identity crisis. Eric Erickson described adolescence as a stage of conflicts, like holding contradictory beliefs about yourselves simultaneously or painfully arriving at a self through friction of real life experiences. In times we were supposed to make catastrophically bad decisions, hold opinions that would be embarrassed in 5 years after, like fall in love with wrong person, fall in love with the wrong people for all the wrong reasons, and like embarrass yourself publicly, like build something. Gen Z said would choose some other thing. Gen Z opened Netflix, and Netflix said, here we have done it for you. Here are some pre-assembled personalities, pick any one of them or even several, layer them, and there are no wrong answers. It's free for the first month. And he said, finally, according to the research now confirms that TV and streaming content has a greater emotional impact on Gen Z than social media. And this is actually remarkable because social media was supposed to be the villain of this particular story, which turns out that the actual villain has a better cinematography with a $200 million budget and a theme song which you've been humming for years now. 78% of Gen Z stream TV content every single week. 70% stream video to their phones every day, almost every day. And let me be honest, that is not leisure. That is the kind of sustained, repeated, and emotionally loaded exposure that fundamentally rewires the way you understand yourself. And here's what immersion does that we don't talk about enough. It doesn't just entertain you, it gives you a vocabulary for yourself. Like suddenly you have words for your specific brand of dysfunction, you have references for your aesthetic, and a pre built emotional framework that was delivered in an episode of approximately 45, 47, or maybe 50 minutes that was optimized for maximum identification. You didn't construct your personality. You, instead of living in this real life, in this real world, you rather chose to be delusional. You kind of licensed it. That personality is not yours. And maybe I'm sounding like a professional hater. Netflix has built a library of over 76,000 genres. Hyper specific classifications are like romantic independent movies or like action thrillers movies featuring a strong female lead or maybe a submissive female lead. And their system captures not just what you watch, but what you rewatch, what you skip, or at what time you watch it, or even how long you hover over a thumbnail before clicking it. I repeat, how long you hover over a thumbnail before clicking it. They are not recommending content at this point. They are constructing a psychological profile so granular that the algorithm doesn't just predict your future behavior, it actively shapes it. Human behavior informs the algorithm, and then the algorithm forms the future human behavior. You see, it's a feedback loop. You think you chose to become obsessed with that morally grey female protagonist? No, you didn't choose anything. You paused on a thumbnail for 2 3 seconds in 2019 and the machine took it from there. One thing that I find people out there mostly relating to is parasocial relationships. Now, let me tell you what is parasocial relationship. One-sided emotional bonds where you invest genuine feelings to a character, to a person out there who doesn't even know you exist. That is parasocial relationship. This shit happens in adolescence most of the times, but yeah, it can happen in some other stages too. And this is not metaphorical, this is a documented psychological phenomenon. You form an emotional attachment to a fictional character, and like that bond affects you. That bond affects how you see yourself, how you deal with things, how you work under pressure, maybe even what you value. There are people who are fond of enemies, and like they are so fond of them, okay? They just love them unconditionally and they don't see people other than them. In 2024, 70% of Gen Z reported feeling genuinely close to someone who they have never met. I mean, 70%. You see, this is too serious. We are a generation in intimate relationship with people who were written in a writer's room in Burbank, California by someone who has never met us. And we are building ourselves, our actual, irreplaceable, one time only selves around those relationships. Wait a minute. And then we put it on our bios. Chaotic, good, the Rachel Green of our friend group. That is three layers of borrowed identity. And now here's where I want to be precise, because this is not just about being cringe on the internet. Gen Z has developed something called aesthetics, which is digital subcultures built around visual identity and shared references, designed to generate a feeling of belonging through common appearances online, which seems harmless. It looks like fashion, it looks like subculture. But here's the critical difference. Traditional subcultures were built. Punks made their own clothes, jazz musicians made their vocabulary from scratch. Countercultural movements cost people something: social standing, family approval, and sometimes their safety. Gen Z aesthetics are consumed. You do not build dark academia aesthetic. You buy it, you stream it, you pin it. You adopt the vocabulary of a pre-existing visual language that someone else designed it and someone else is monetizing it. And the brands figure out in 6 months and are now selling back to you in the form of a $45 tote bag that says, I contain multitudes. I mean, you contain multitudes of products. And I want to be very clear about this, that I'm not exempting myself from it. And I'm doing it right now. This video has a particular aesthetic. Maybe not right now, but maybe in some other videos. I am for sure performing an identity, which is like a self aware intellectual commentator, haha, who's also not sure she's okay. That is a character, and I know which show it came from, and I made peace with it. But here's the difference. I know, and knowing changes something. It doesn't undo it, but for sure it changes something. Researchers studying Gen Z identity have pointed out that this generation has built an entire culture around misanthropic internet references and curated aesthetics, and have asked Gen Z to reconsider whether they have unintentionally modeled their identity around categories that were never built for them. Unintentionally modeled. That is the most polite way anyone has ever said you got played. Here's what I think actually happened. We grew up in an era where the traditional structures which gave people identity, religion, class, community, geography, or profession, were either collapsing, being critiqued, or being revealed as constructed anyways. So we looked around and said, well, if everything is constructed anyway, and identity was always performance, then at least let me choose my own performance. And streaming kinda handed us the catalog and we peaked. But anyways, ask yourself, what was the last time you did something that wasn't in the catalog? You did something and you couldn't describe it by citing a character, a show, or something. Or an aesthetic maybe. Something that was illegibly, uncomfortably, and unquotably you. Those characters gives you comfort, but who you are without them is actually the point. Anyways, go touch some grass.